Insomniac Spider-Man has finally hit the PS4 consoles and it's been making waves. But is it really worth all the hype it's been generating? Well, this is Jerbox from Pinoy Scrub Gaming, and let's find out. I'd like to kick this off by discussing immediately the visual presentation of this game. The game is beautiful. The world, the people, and including the animations on how Spider-Man moves. You can tell that Insomniac Games has placed so much time, care, and effort to make sure Spider-Man moves the way he should. From the way he fights, the way he swings from his web, and the momentum you gather by going through New York City. It's a joy to just swing around and go around the city. Huge details are placed on the open world and things look amazing. And before we move on with anything, I'd like to discuss this matter right away. Some people will immediately ask, is there really a graphics downgrade? So to answer that question right here, right now, there is a slight graphics downgrade if you compare it to the trailer. But the graphics downgrade isn't something that you can notice. It's hardly even noticeable. It's not a huge graphics downgrade like some people would assume it is, but it's not. But I can understand why consumers are worried about this kind of matter because some gaming companies are guilty of this practice. But in this game, Insomniac has barely made any downgrades at all. Maybe just a tiny bit, but like I said, it's something you hardly notice. Now let's move on to gameplay. For gameplay, as Spider-Man, you swing around the city and of course you fight crime. Now when you swing around the city, I'd like to say you will do a lot of swinging around in the city. Don't get me wrong, when you're swinging around the city, it's not boring. There's always a lot to do and a lot to see, especially when you can do airborne tricks while you're in the air as Spider-Man. And the animations on these tricks and the way he swings is very impressive, so you're gonna get a lot of awe on that one. It's just that eventually your trigger finger or your web swing button will eventually get tired, and you do press that button a lot because you use it to navigate around the city. The awesome animations also carry over to the combat. Now for the combat, it's a series of button presses, but it's not too complicated. If you're familiar with maybe the Arkham series, the combinations are kind of similar, but it's not too overcomplicated. It's more of punch, punch, web, web, swing to another bad guy, jump, swing, punch, and of course, do a finisher. Now there's also a focus meter which allows you to do your quote-unquote super or ultimate move, which takes out a lot of bad guys. Now for the focus abilities, there are different types of focus abilities which range from webbing everyone up in the air, holographic images, and other powers. Now I'm not going to get into the powers of the other suits because that also involves a bit of spoilers and I don't want to enter spoiler territory just yet because I don't want all of you being triggered. You unlock the additional suits as you progress through the game and also when you level up. You level up by gathering experience points, and these experience points are gathered through different types of method. One basic method is to go through the story mode where you get huge lumps of XP. Another way is to do the side quests which are scattered all around the world. Now when I mean scattered, they are all over New York. Now each side quest will grant you a different type of resource. Now each resource you gather will give you one step closer to making a certain suit. Now each suit will be unlocked as you level up, and each of them, like I said earlier, will have different types of powers. There are many ways to gather certain types of resource, some of them by simply stopping crime around New York City, and the others of course involve going through Spider-Man's lab where you'll be able to do some sort of mini-game and you'll be able to build up and gather up that resource by completing that said mini-game. I can't discuss the minigame too much without giving away the story and the spoilers, so that one you have to play with yourself. Other resources are gathered by completing challenges which are scattered around New York. Now besides the suits, Spider-Man also has access to a skill tree. There are 3 skill trees that you can use. There's Innovator, Defender, and of course, Web Slinger. You use skill points to unlock a skill tree, then you can pump more skill points into that skill tree as you progress through the game and level up. Each skill in the skill tree can give you an edge in battle, but at the end of the day, it all depends on your type of playstyle on how you want to go through it. Gadgets are also a thing with Spider-Man. You can upgrade his web shooters. Yes, his web shooters are not unlimited, so you can't keep spamming the web button and hope it won't run out. You'll also have access to impact webbing, which instantly wraps up an opponent the moment you hit him, and other gadgets that can help you in combat or navigate the city easier. When you're navigating New York City, you will be going through a lot of towers. Now each of these towers locks a certain part of New York City. And when you find one tower, you do a puzzle and you unlock that section of New York City, which will be now explorable and open on your map. It's similar to the methods of Assassin's Creed, where you need to climb a tower and do the eagle drop so you can unlock that certain part of the map. It can get tedious at times, especially since it's very much repetitive, but it's not too complicated to do. Together with the towers, side quests are scattered all over New York. Now the side quests impress me the most because none of them are very much repetitive. There is no huge abundance of fetch quests, so there's no need to worry about that. But the side quests are worth doing because they grant you more experience and of course access to more resources. In the category of villains, I just feel like they could have added more. More villains could have been used from his rogues gallery, but of course they want to start somewhere, because at the end of the day, this game screams sequel. It's just begging for a part 2, especially when you finish the story mode. So, Insomniac Games, please give us a part 2 to this game. That would be wicked awesome. Now to wrap up this review, I'd like to say that all that hype Spider-Man built up, it was well delivered. It hits you in the face and says, hey, this is the hype, we delivered. From the stunning visuals and of course to the amazing animations and the world of New York looking spick and span and awesome, this game is made with lots of love and lots of care by Insomniac Games, so I have to give them a lot of plus points for that. I also like how they covered the college life of Peter Parker. Instead of the usual high school life and his origin story, we get this time the struggles he goes through as a student, balancing his life as Spider-Man and of course as Peter Parker. Insomniac Games made their own Spider-Man, borrowing some lore from the comics and borrowing some lore of course from the MCU universe. That's why in this game I highly encourage that you finish the side quests and gather all the items, because each item and side quest you gather and finish, you'll be rewarded with some lore. Now the lore will be coming from Peter Parker himself through one of his quips, and you will learn a lot about the Insomniac version of Spider-Man. So with all that said, I will give this game 4 out of 5 balloons. If I could, I'd give it a 5 out of 5, but there's no such thing as a perfect game. So yes, it gets 4 out of 5 balloons. This is Jerbox from Pinoy Scrub Gaming. Enjoy!